Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel where I review Netflix shows, movies, animes, and a whole lot of Spider-Man, plus 90s stuff of course. So I wanted to start talking about the 90s cartoon Venom versus the Tom Hardy movie Venom. But first, let's talk about how evil Spider-Man gets with the black costume on. The black costume being the alien symbiote that actually later combines with Eddie Brock to make Venom. This is my accurate parody of everything that happens in the 90s cartoon show that explains how the suit changes Spider-Man, sort of, from hero to villain. But don't worry though, even though yeah it is a parody and it's my accurate telling, it still maintains the spirit of everything that actually did happen, so in that sense I consider it still pretty faithful, but it is definitely more of my transformative adaptation of everything that happened. So let's start. Finally, we get to the three-part episode, the black costume. I mean alien costume, whatever. The episode starts off with John Jameson, J. Jonah's son, who happens to be an astronaut exploring a nearby asteroid and decides to take up his old rock collecting hobby. He picks up a rock and notices that it has some rich black substance coming from underneath it and describes it as black blood. Ugh. He's like, maybe I should leave it. Then again, it does look like some nice obsidian, so maybe I'll just keep it. Time to boogie. The asteroid then rumbles like it's pissed off that somebody's jacking its jewels, kind of like the Cave of Wonders from Aladdin. Anyway, Jameson blasts off. On Earth, the newscaster tells everyone that the astronauts, Jameson and Smith, are gonna try and land the spaceship at an actual airport for the first time, and are bringing back some pretty fancy special rocks that might be stronger than plutonium. Kingpin is like, oh, rocks, eh? Meanwhile, Brock is on the George Washington Bridge like, damn, why do I gotta be stuck in traffic? I hate this place. On the spaceship, the black substance seems to have come with the last rock, and it sneaks out of the enclosed canister like, oh, it's kinda cold back here. The ooze slides underneath the door from the back to the front like, oh, yeah, it's much nicer up here in front. Jameson and Smith are trying to land the ship and need total concentration, but then the substance grabs hold of Smith's leg like, hey, a new friend, yeah, you feel really warm, why don't we start snuggling? Smith's like, oh god, what is that? Oh, don't worry, come on, I'm a really nice guy once you get to know me. Meanwhile, they're showing a live shot of all of this to JJ and Parker as they're watching everything go south from the Daily Bugle. Smith's like, no, please, I have a wife. But the substance like, shh, it's okay, that's okay, shh, we can just keep this secret, I won't tell anybody, just let it happen. JJ's like, what's going on? That's my kid up there. So the spaceship obviously goes out of control, right? And the newscaster is like, well, we lost transmission. Will they live? Will they die? Haha, who knows? Stay tuned after this commercial message. Oh, by the way, NASA said the ship is heading into the city. Peter calls Aunt May to tell her to get to the basement. Even Kingpin is like, maybe I should get out of here too. Smythe, what the heck is wrong with you? Why aren't you getting ready? Smythe's like, trust me, it's not gonna hit us, it's gonna head to the Hudson. Kingpin hearing this gets straight to the phone like, I know someone there, just for the job. Hey you horny Republican. I told you I'm a Republican in name only. Quiet. I don't care about your political affiliation. I'm tired of funding your horny schemes. Now it's time to pay me back. Get to the bridge. The spaceship will land near there. I want you to get me them special rocks. Smythe's like, you're trying to get the rock? You can't be serious. But Kingpin's like, trust me, Smythe. I'm the biggest crime boss, the center nerve of all criminality in the world. I know a thing or two about rocks. You're talking about drugs, right? Yes, I'm talking about drugs. But also explosives. Anyway, so the ship heads into the city, right? And the news reports to JJ and the gang that it's probably headed towards the George Washington Bridge. So JJ takes a helicopter to rescue his son, and Parker gets ready as Spider-Man and swings away. Meanwhile, on the bridge, everyone evacuates except for Brock, who's like, this is my big chance. Parker's always taking these pictures, maybe I can do the same. Then literally flies through the city, like right by buildings and everything. But the pilots make sure to head it towards the direction of the Hudson River. Right at that time, Rhino's already on the bridge getting a call from Kingpin like, you are on the bridge, right? Yeah, I'm just cleaning up traffic. The ship then comes in crashing onto the bridge, causing a lot of damage, and they say that a hero will save. Anyway, Spider-Man finds his way into the ship to get to the pilots to rescue them, and while he's there, he runs into the Rhino, who has the Promethean X, that special rock. They get into a scuffle, but Rhino just blasts Spider-Man away with raw power, and he literally rips off a metal door and is about to crush Spider-Man to death. But then he gets a call from his daddy, like, hey, where is my rock? I already have it, I'm just working on something. Oh, I know what you're doing. I told you I'm tired of your horny schemes. Now bring me that rock right now. Fine. Rhino is about to leave, but he tells Spider-Man that they'll finish things later. Spider-Man puts a tracker on Rhino before he boogies out. Brock then sees Rhino running with a briefcase and takes pictures. Spider-Man saves the astronauts and looks forward to finally getting credit since he actually did save JJ's son this time. Brock notices Spider-Man there too and is like, oh, it's the Spider-Man. Spider-Man then hears something else coming from the ship and thinks it's another person, and like the freaking hero that he is, tries to go in and save them just in case it's someone else needing help. But while doing that, the ship falls into the river. JJ reaches his son, who starts mumbling something out like, horny horny Republicans, Black Lives Matter, Spider-Man. Jameson's like, what, Spider-Man? But then his son faints. But while leaving, he gets approached by Brock, who's like, JJ, I got proof that Spider-Man sold something from the ship. He's behind all this. Obviously, he even somehow magically crashed the ship and nearly killed your son somehow, according to my logic. And I got the proof right here. All you gotta do is give me back my old job with a couple of lines of blow every week. What? Do you want the pictures or not, Jameson? Oh, I want the pictures. I'm finally gonna make that Spider-Man pay. When Spider-Man comes out of the river, he notices some rich, black, creamy tar-like goo substance on him, and he figures that it's just pollution. Anywho, Rhino delivers the Promethean X to the Kingpin, and Smythe is like, oh my god, this could be the most powerful explosive rock on Earth. I must study it. Quiet, nerd boy. There's no time for studying. We're gonna sell this rock while it's hot. But it's just a rock. This rock is probably smarter than that rock. At the Parker house, Aunt May is watching the news, and Parker comes home hoping to hear how Spider-Man saved the day. But Aunt May is like, what do you mean saved the day? Spider-Man robbed the ship. Say what? And Jay's is on television where people are asking him things like, is your son okay? Is he alright? And he's like, yeah, my son, whatever. This is about Spider-Man. I know Spider-Man is somehow behind all of this, so I'm giving a reward for $1 million to whoever can bring him in. What? Even when I do something good, man's on my case. Hey yo, I even saved this guy's son's life. It's like no matter what I do, mofos gonna be haters. Even Aunt May, who always talks smack about Spider-Man thanks to Jameson's anti-Spider-Man propaganda, was like, finally, he'll get what's coming to him. Parker, as usual, says nothing and just goes to bed. In bed though, he's like, hey yo, I'm hustling out here real hard to keep my Aunt May off the streets, and what thanks do I get for it? I'm hustling pictures of myself for what? I ain't even getting the bag from Jameson. And now man's got $1 million on me? Like, I ain't even able to get that money. What am I gonna do, turn myself in? That money worth more than my whole life. This whole Spider-Man business don't make no sense. I'm done with it. And then he goes to bed. But the black alien substance jumps off the suit and crawls into the bed with him while he's unconscious. Really American college frat boy style if you ask me. Parker then has his wacky trippy nightmare, right, where he's running from this black monster, and then his empty suit comes in and tries to save him. Aw, look at him. It's so cute. Anyway, they fight each other and they fight over Parker, but ultimately the black creature eats Parker, and he wakes up upside down staring at his reflection in an all-new, super sleek, flexy black suit, looking damn fine. At first he's like, yo, where am I? And he just web slings away and notices, wow man, his webbing is just coming out automatically from the suit itself. He doesn't even have his web shooters on him, and he almost overshoots himself on a jump because he's just way more powerful than he was before. He doesn't even know his own strength anymore. Some cops spot him in a helicopter and they still want that $1 million and start hunting him. And even the locals he stood up for and should have his back start attacking him because they want that money too. But then when they do approach, Spider-Man just automatically picks them up with one arm each and starts tossing them aside like they're nothing. At first he's like, yo, what am I doing? Am I attacking normal citizens? But then he's like, no, wait, yo, I'm just defending myself. Right. Anyway, cops show up and he web slings away and starts jumping around. Then he decides to test his strength by lifting this fire truck and lifts it no problem, easy peasy. And he's like, I'm loving this new suit, but I wish I could just look a little bit less suspicious because I'm being hunted right now. And the suit automatically changes his costume into that of a police officer, allowing Parker to send cops somewhere else, who by the way are still like, let's get that $1 million. Parker's like, yo, this suit is so dope. He starts swinging the next day like, woohoo, this shit crazy, this is amazing. It was like he had his powers for the first time and he was truly enjoying how powerful he was and what he was able to do. Hey yo, this suit is dope. It's like maxing out all my stats. No, scratch that. It's taking me to the next level for real. Let's see, Peter Parker. Haha, nah, yo, that's boring now. Let's try, that guy from Aerosmith who plays the show's intro song. Yeah, sick. This is a bit flashy though. No. How about something old school, like, an Italian suit? Yeah, sick. This is perfect. He jumps down and Felicia Hardy notices him and is like, whoa, Parker, is that you? You seem different. And he's like, yeah, girl, there's a really big difference. How about I show you how big that difference can get? Ooh, Flash comes in like, hey Parker, stop talking to my girl. I'm not your girl, but I thought you were. Damn it, Parker, this is your fault. Quit confusing the girl and back off, you nerdy goof kid. Parker's like, nah, I ain't having it this time, bonehead. What'd you just say? I called you a pathetic, empty-headed jock boy who ain't got no brain who peaked in high school. High school? Remember high school? You were the little boy. I'm the bully here. Hey. Look at me. I'm the bully now. Flash is like, holy fuck, is Parker throwing down with me right now? What's going on? Felicia butts in fast like, yo, stop Parker, what's wrong with you? And pulls Flash away almost as if to protect him, saying, Flash, don't you got a class to go to try and send Flash away from Parker? But Flash is still just like, what just happened? And Parker cold eyes stares at him with confidence, all like, you know what it is, son, if you want it, you can get it. Felicia's like, what's gotten into you? And Parker's like, what do you mean? I'm just keeping it 100. But she's like, no, you have changed. but you know, you scare me, and then walks off, and Parker's just like, ha, pathetic human. I'm clearly a superior being, and just cartwheels out. Back at Kingpin's headquarters, Smythe is like, how am I supposed to prove to your buyers that this is powerful stuff if I don't have the special rods needed to handle it? Only the military has those, so we won't be able to get it from their complex. Boy, maybe you can't get it, but I am the Kingpin. I can get anything. Hey, you still horny? At home, Aunt May is like, maybe you should stop taking pictures of Spider-Man. You know, there's $1 million bounty on his head now, so maybe he'll start getting a bit more dangerous with people around him. And Parker is like, yo, you know what? I ain't having this. I don't gotta hear this no more. Which just shocks Aunt May because you know what? Parker never says anything bad to her or talks back to her. He cherishes her to death, and yet he lost control with her. He lost his cool. Also, she's shocked because she's always been saying bad stuff about Spider-Man sorta, and he never pushed back. Of course, she obviously doesn't know that he is Spider-Man, but now because he's losing his cool, he is actually showing that he's taking it personally, like it's insulting him directly. But in his room, he notices he gets a signal from a tracker that he put on Rhino earlier, and decides he knows exactly how he can take out his frustration. Rhino breaks into the facility with brute force, and security is like, let's get him, boys. But literally all of the security team gets taken out in like one move. Rhino then finds the rods and grabs a few, and Spider-Man shows up in his black suit. And Rhino's like, oh, Spider-Man, I like your new skin-tight black suit. It's really showing a lot of your muscles. It's making me kinda horny. And then he rushes him. Spider-Man gets up though and is just like, yo, I ain't even feel that. And then just starts wrecking Rhino like he ain't nothing, tossing him about like a ragdoll, like it's a kind of sudden shift because now he's just throwing around this powerhouse Rhino like a sloppy mess. He starts demanding to know where the rock is, and his voice gets deeper and angrier and more aggressive, demanding an answer. Rhino, realizing he's just being continually beaten over and over, is like, how is this possible? You can't be doing this. But Spider-Man's like, oh, I can't? Yeah, well, I changed the rules. Now you're gonna tell me who you're working for. Rhino's like, I can't do that. Do you even know what they would do to me? And Black Suit Spider-Man is like, oh, what are they gonna do? Something like this. And starts torturing and toying with him. But Rhino still refuses to give him an answer because he knows that the Kingpin will kill him, but still can't win. So he says, okay. Please, I give in. I can't win, and I'd rather go to jail than be a snitch. And Spider-Man's like, whoa, who said you're going to jail? I ain't saying nothing like that. I got something else in store for you if you don't start doing what I tell you. What do you mean? I don't get it. Oh, you're gonna get it, aight? Trust me. You see, I'm done not getting what I want when I want it. No, but please, I said I give up. I don't do this. Yeah, well, I give up too. I give up trying to be a good guy all the time. I'm done with that. I'm done playing around with you goofs all the time. But Rhino's like, no, you can't do this, please. Why the hell not? I have the power. Then Parker remembers how he was talking back to Aunt May, and how he was about to throw down with Flash, and even scaring Felicia. And then he realizes that his personality is changing, so he just disappears. Later he's like, whoa, yo, I almost murked a dude just out of frustration. What the heck's happening to me? That ain't right. And he looks at his reflection and sees a flash of a demonic version of himself. Ugh. Dude, what's happening to me? Fuck. Wow, what a crazy episode. As I said, normally Spider-Man is this kind of bright comedic genius, and yet a lot of the times what makes his comedy so good is that he's making jokes even in moments where the audience feels like, yo, Spider-Man, he was gonna die. Why don't you stop making jokes and take this serious for once? Comedy in that moments really makes Spider-Man stand out as really fun and really confident, because he would make those jokes even with villains that were about to kill him. And yet now, it's truly getting dark, because all of those jokes are gone. I mean, he was still talking to his villains, but he wasn't telling them jokes. Now, he was telling them threats. Lethal threats. There are only a few moments in this whole series where you see Spider-Man, who's usually bright, go super dark and serious, and that's why it sticks out so much. So obviously the suit is making him so much more powerful. He's losing control of what he can do, and with the symbiote, he does it so much as he thinks it, almost automatically. Not just is webbing automatically shooting out of his wrist even without the web shooters, or how it automatically seems to grab hold and pull him out of danger or itself, or how it seems to automatically change Peter Parker's outfit based on what he's even thinking, but also automatically defensively talking back to Aunt May, and even fighting innocent citizens who technically are comparatively defenseless to Spider-Man. But not just that, but even wanting to murder the Rhino in the exact same way that earlier in the episode the Rhino was going to murder Spider-Man, crushing him with a giant metal door. Now it's Spider-Man in this iconic scene of him about to kill Rhino. It's a great callback to earlier in the episode when it was Rhino going to do that to him. It really signifies the kind of role reversal that happens, and calls back to the beginning to show a kind of full revolution of the character, almost. Where now, instead of the villain being Rhino about to kill Spider-Man, the villain seems to be Spider-Man about to kill the Rhino. And it certainly seems that Spider-Man appears to be the villain in this iconic moment, and that it's supposed to be, especially hearing the Rhino beg for his life, beg not to be murdered, and is even willing to be turned in, and yet is almost met with no mercy by Spider-Man. So something really dark is happening here, but this was just the beginning of how evil Spider-Man can get. In the next video, we'll cover that next episode, where Spider-Man reaches his most maximum evil. And like I said, we won't ever really see this kind of darkness and aggressiveness from Spider-Man in the whole rest of the series. There are only maybe a few other points where we see something like this, like when he gets angry at the Green Goblin at the bridge scene for doing what he did to Mary Jane. And if you'd like, I'll cover that. Just leave a comment below, and please, either way, share and like this video if you liked my covering of this kind of stuff. For now though, let's get to the next video where Spider-Man reaches his maximum evil. If not, that's okay. Either way, I wish you peace and victory.